Hey, if you're leading a nonprofit, you know your mission is absolutely everything. But what about the data that actually fuels that mission? Well, in this explainer, we're going to give you a straightforward, totally actionable checklist to secure your organization and protect that mission. So let's dive right in. I want to start with a really direct question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. From a cyber attacker's point of view, does your organization look like an easy target? The answer might be an uncomfortable yes, and that is exactly why we're here today. Look, this isn't some hypothetical threat. You have to understand, attackers see nonprofits as a potential goldmine. I mean, you hold sensitive donor and volunteer data, and they know you're often working with really stretched IT resources. That combination, it makes you a prime target for things like ransomware. And a breach isn't just some tech issue. It shatters trust, it costs a fortune, and it can bring your entire operation to a grinding halt. Okay, enough of the scary stuff, because here's the really good news. Protecting your organization does not require a massive budget or some super complex infrastructure. It's all about getting the fundamentals right and doing them well consistently. We're about to shift from just understanding the risk to actually taking action. So, let's get practical. We're kicking off our checklist with system security. You can think of these as the foundational technical controls. They're basically the locks and alarms for your digital house. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with passwords. They're your absolute first line of defense. But we've got to rethink what a strong password even is. Forget those complex strings of letters and numbers you can't possibly remember. A passphrase of 4 random words, something like correct horse battery staple, is literally thousands of times stronger and way easier for your team to remember. So how do you actually put this into action? It's a really simple 3-step process. First, just take a look at your most critical systems: your email, your donor CRM, your accounting software. Second, you enforce a policy that requires these strong passphrases. And third, and this is key, you make it easy on everyone by requiring a password manager. This takes the burden of memory off your staff and just dramatically boosts your security. And you want to hear the best part? Implementing a strong password policy is often totally free. It's usually just a setting in your systems. And even a great password manager for your team is incredibly affordable. We're talking a few bucks per user. This is one of the highest impact, lowest cost security wins you can possibly get. It's a no-brainer. Now, here's a question I get all the time. For years, right, we were all told change your passwords every 90 days. But is that still the best advice? The answer might actually surprise you. The modern guidance says you should never be forced to change your password, unless you know for a fact it's been compromised. It turns out that forcing those regular changes just leads people to create really predictable patterns, or even worse, write them down. A strong, unique passphrase that never changes is actually far more secure. All right, building on those strong passwords, we have multi-factor authentication, or MFA. If a strong password is your front door lock, think of MFA as the security guard checking IDs. It's that second layer of proof, usually a little code sent to your phone. So even if an attacker manages to steal a password, they are stopped cold because they don't have that code. Honestly, in today's world, it's completely non-negotiable. And getting it set up is way easier than you think. Just start with your crown jewels: email, banking, your donation platform. Roll it out first to the people with the most access: your finance team, your IT admin, your executive director. And you can get started for free using an app like Google Authenticator. Now let's talk about your ultimate defense against a ransomware attack. It's called the 3-2-1 backup rule, and it's an industry standard for a very good reason. It just means you have 3 total copies of your data on 2 different types of media, with one of those copies stored completely offline, like totally disconnected from the network. So here's how you actually do it. First, sign up for a cloud backup service. That gives you automatic, continuous protection. Second, once a month, create that offline backup on an external hard drive and stick it somewhere safe. And third, and this is the step everyone forgets, you have to test your backups. Can you actually restore your data from them? You have to check. Don't just assume it's working. Okay, so we've covered the core systems. But technology is only half the battle. This next section of our checklist is all about the human side of security: your plans and your people. Let's be real, when a crisis hits, panic is your worst enemy. An incident response plan is your pre-written guide to help you stay calm and take effective action. Think of it as your in case of emergency break glass document. The real key here is to keep it simple, like no more than 1 page, so it's actually something you can use in a super high stress moment. And building this plan is really straightforward. First, who's on the response team? Write their names and numbers down. Second, what are the absolute first things you do? Unplug from the internet, shut down a server, get it on paper. Third, have your legal and insurance contacts ready to go. And finally, draft some basic templates for how you'll communicate with your staff and your donors.
And this brings us to something that is just, well, it's a fundamental truth. You can have all the best technology in the world, but your people are, and always will be, a critical part of your security. They are your human firewall. They are your last line of defense. Now, building this human firewall doesn't require some huge, complex program. I mean, look how simple this can be. Once a year, hold a 1-hour security awareness session. Every quarter, send a fake phishing email to see who clicks, and then provide some gentle coaching. And maybe most importantly, build this training right into your onboarding process for every single new hire.
I know, this can all feel like a lot, but you don't have to do it all at once. So, we've broken this down into a simple, practical roadmap to help you turn this checklist into a real-world plan. Here's just how manageable this can be. In your first month, just focus on the quick, high-impact wins. That's passwords and MFA. In month 2, get your backup and update systems humming along. By month 3, you can start auditing who has access to what. You see? In just 1 quarter, you can make a monumental difference in your organization's security. So as we start to wrap up, I really want to bring this all back to what matters most. This isn't just about protecting data, right? It's about protecting your ability to do good in the world. It is about protecting your mission. And I want to leave you with this powerful number. A nonprofit that simply completes the fundamental steps on this checklist is more secure than 80% of organizations out there. That includes many large for-profit companies. Just think about that for a second. The fundamentals, when done consistently, put you in the top tier of security. So if there is one single thing to take away from our entire explainer today, it's this. Cybersecurity is not a technical problem to be handed off to an IT person. It is a core, mission-critical discipline, just like fundraising or program management. It's the practice that ensures your organization can continue to serve your community safely and effectively. So I'll leave you with one final question to think about. You know your mission is valuable. The work you do matters. After everything we've covered today, can you say with confidence that it's truly protected? Thank you for joining me.